conventional cough syrups are a complete bust. There have been study after study showing that honey is just as effective as over-the-counter cough syrups. The active ingredient in Robitussin, most of these cough syrups, is an ingredient called dextromethorphan. And there was a study done looking at upper pediatric respiratory infections comparing honey to dextromethorphan, just as effective with the honey.
She's the founder of Beekeeper's Naturals, which has been featured in Vogue, Forbes 30 Under 30, recognized as one of Inc. magazine's female founders. Her company is dedicated to regenerative practices and providing science-backed, third-party tested, real food nutrition to help to support our immune system and overall health in easy and accessible ways. Let's dive into this conversation with the amazing Carly Kremer. Carly, so good to see you again. Thank you for coming and hang out with us.
Thank you for having me.
This is very timely because it's back to school time. All right. And for parents, which are a new mom, congratulations.
Thank you.
Again. Going back to school is one of those things where, kids start being little spreaders of things, and folks, of course, worry about their kids' immune system and, not dealing with all the ramifications that come with getting sick. And so we're big advocates of building a resilient immune system. And you've had multiple experiences of seeing resilience for yourself and even your baby in the face of different infectious things that might be going around. When other people are getting stuff, you guys are, it's passing you by. And I've seen that many times as well over the years. And I want to talk about what we can do to arm ourselves to be more resilient, specifically for our immune system. And if you could, can you start off by talking a little bit about what you do personally? Because, you travel, you've got an incredible business that is just in stores everywhere I turn. I see you now. And obviously a new mom, wife, daughter, you got all these different things going on. How do you take care of your own immune system?
So I am completely obsessed with bee products and the big four: propolis, royal jelly, pollen, honey. Bee products. So people don't really realize this, but bees have been around for hundreds of millions of years. They've been around since the dinosaurs. So bees are survivors. They've survived a lot of geographical, all kinds of changes. So they have harnessed some pretty incredible wisdom to survive and thrive. And a lot of that is coming from plants, and plants that have survived for billions of years. So these different bee products, propolis, pollen, royal jelly, honey, the bees are literally collecting components of plants, the immunoproperties of the plant itself, the parts of the plant that combat inflammation, that allow the plant to survive against stressors, mixing it with their enzymes, and creating these different bee products that all have unbelievable applications for health. And so for me, big part of my routine, propolis. Propolis is, and I love all the bee products, but propolis has a special place in my heart because I am autoimmune. I've struggled with immune-related concerns, and it was when I found propolis. Propolis is what got me started beekeeping. I just had a dramatic health change when I started using propolis. So I have a special love for that one. And in today's world with things like COVID, flu, different strains of different viruses, as a new mom, super conscious of things like RSV, all of these different things in our environment, it's really important to support our body with the tools to help it defend itself from pathogens, bacteria, even, inflammation due to oxidative stress. And bee products are fantastic at protecting the body, protecting the organ systems, protecting the immune system.
It's so interesting because a lot of us in our culture, we don't think about this because, we really have a very strong pharmaceutical model, obviously. And so when we get sick, let's actually pivot really quickly to when we do get sick, right? Because part of having a healthy immune system, it doesn't mean you don't get sick. It also means you adapt faster, you recover faster, you feel better. You might not have as strong symptoms as other people. There's different layers to having a strong immune system because part of that immune response is your body's adaptation. And what we tend to do, we'll say, we get some kind of a cold or flu or something of the like, and, maybe we have a cough symptom. And I know I did, we grew up having like Benadryl and having Robitussin, everything. Robitussin was a cure for everything, in our household. Put some tussin on it. Shout out to Chris Rock, all right? But also, NyQuil and all these different things. And now we know that some of these compounds are highly addictive for starters. And if you look at some of the ingredients in these conventional cough syrups, it is crazy that this stuff can just be sold in the first place.
And we give it to kids.
Can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to target the cough syrup market specifically? Like what's going on with conventional cough syrups that we might want to be aware of?
Okay, so conventional cough syrups are a complete bust. Like there have been study after study showing that honey is just as effective as over-the-counter cough syrups. The active ingredient in Robitussin, most of these cough syrups, is an ingredient called dextromethorphan. And there was a study done looking at upper pediatric respiratory infections comparing honey to dextromethorphan, just as effective with the honey. And then subsequent studies have followed after seeing that. That was a pretty large-scale study. And so we have enough evidence now. There is no need to take cough syrup. You don't need to. So if you're buying cough syrup, choose a honey-based one. Obviously, we make a cough syrup, but anything that's kind of honey-based, that's going to do the trick so much more than these conventional chemicals. And some other ingredients to kind of look out for when purchasing cough syrup. Starting with a honey-based, one other call out just for people to buy the right things and empower people to make the right decisions. When it has honey in it, sometimes it says proprietary blend. That's okay as long as they're disclosing what's in the proprietary blend. On my product, it says proprietary blend, and then there's a bracket, and it says buckwheat honey, wildflower honey. It's a blend of some different types of honeys. Some companies will say proprietary blend, and it's like a little bit of honey and some corn syrup, or a little bit of honey and some agave. So if it doesn't say it on the bottle, reach out to the company, check the website. You want to make sure it's honey, not a proprietary blend of, specifically agave or corn syrup. Those are like kind of the things you want to avoid. So honey-based, number one. And then you want to get some propolis in there. Propolis is the ultimate tool to supercharge your immune health. So you want to look for things with propolis in the ingredient. Propolis is really amazing at prevention, but it's also really great for combating scratchy throat, cough, all of the stuff, supporting your overall immune health, boosting the immune system so you can, if you're exposed, recover faster. But propolis is like, if you think about how propolis works in the hive, if I can take a step back and talk about the bees for a second. So propolis is like the sealant of the hive. It's a combination of plant resins. So think of sap with those immuno properties from the plant and the bee enzymes. They mix it together and they coat the entire hive in propolis, and it protects the hive from pathogens, bacteria, viruses, stressors. It seals everything up. And it does the same thing for human health. It's like a sealant. It protects us from stressors of the outer world, whether it's viral or just oxidative stress coming from inside our body, or, radiation, whatever it may be. So it's a really great tool. So you want to look for that in your cough syrup. And then other non-bee products that I love for cough syrups that actually have studies and science behind them. And, in the name of us getting away from the dextromethorphans and these like synthetic ingredient things that we don't actually need. Not rocket science, but vitamin C, vitamin D, amazing for immune health. And then I really like elderberry, some really cool studies looking at elderberry for flu. So I just don't think people need to use the cough syrups. And it's so funny. I actually saw the other day, Robitussin is like marketing their new honey Robitussin. And I look at the ingredients, and of course it's a drug fact panel, so it doesn't tell you what's in it. But I sent it to our lab and I was like, cool. There's some pasteurized sugar, a little flavoring. So you can skip the cough syrups, everyone.
They're doing the health washing, right? They know that honey has all of this peer-reviewed data and health implications, and in particular in this cough suppressant format. And so they're like, we'll put a little honey in here, or maybe sort of honey.
Yeah.
Now, just really quickly, and I've mentioned this study before, but looking specifically at viral lung infections, and this was in the peer-reviewed journal Antiviral Chemistry and Chemotherapy, looking at propolis, significant antiviral effects, specifically in reducing viral lung infections. And there are study after study after study affirming this.
Yep.
And I went because, having you here, I went and looked this up because I knew, of course, we got to talk about cough syrup, and looked at the ingredients for NyQuil. All right.
It's hard to find.
Now,
it's hard to find the
right,
ingredients.
They make it hard to find.
Yep.
In the age of the internet, I had to do a couple of, it wasn't easy to find. So of course you mentioned the active ingredients, some of the non-active ingredients, which are active ingredients. FD&C blue number 1, FD&C red number 40, flavor, high fructose corn syrup, propylene glycol, saccharin sodium. These are just some of the other ingredients that are just not necessary in a cough syrup.
Don't do anything for our health. Some of them are hurtful. It's not what you want. That's an important thing. So drug fact panels, if it has a drug fact panel, it's not inherently bad, but people think with a drug fact panel, it means no sugar, no calories, no anything. Drug fact panel, legally, if you put a certain drug in there, even if it's like a really mild thing like pectin, you don't have to disclose that information. So if something has a drug fact panel, you have to email the company. You have to find out what's in there because you don't know.
Let's talk a little bit about what is causing immune dysfunction in the first place today. Obviously, we're living in a very different terrain. And we had this perspective, even back in the 80s, we really have figured out infectious diseases and being able to really stamp out stuff, right? So we had this whole slew of different, flu vaccines and whatnot. And just every year, things keep getting worse and worse. As a matter of fact, we'll put the study up for everybody to see. There was a big analysis done looking at our inadequacies when it comes to infectious diseases. Is really a mirage. Things are in some aspects getting worse with infectious diseases. And we, again, have a great example of that. Just what happened a couple of years ago that is lingering in different forms. And what is different about us as a species that is making us more susceptible to things? Obviously, our diet is a role player in this. What do you think about that?
So it's pretty brutal. I think there's a lot of, fertility is down, immune systems across the board are down, different gut dysregulation is up. All of these different things are happening, and we're exposed to a viral load that evolutionarily we're not equipped for. And so it's really more important than ever to support your system in the ways you can and protect yourself. But I think there's a lot of things. For one, and this is more, the research that I've done, this is more looking at how it is an endocrine disruptor, but plastics are pretty friggin' new, and we're exposed to them everywhere. And then oxidative stress, inflammation. We live a very inflammatory lifestyle. There are all of these things that are in our environment today that, again, our bodies are not equipped for. So bringing in these other tools that can help equip our body, protect our organs, protect our systems, support our immune health. It's never been more important.
Yeah, I thank you for bringing that up, because it's not just our diet, the nutrition we think we're getting from the food or food-like products, but especially with our uptick in ultra-processed food consumption, we're consuming a lot of other than food products. Not just the ingredients, but the other stuff like you just mentioned.
Pesticides. That is such a problem. So Beekeepers, we do third-party pesticide testing. Unless it's coming from a specific geography, mostly in Europe, some parts of South America, I won't take a bee product that's not from Beekeepers Naturals because of the pesticide exposure. Even when it's organic. We're seeing this all the time with food. We think we're being healthy, but we're getting dosed with these different pesticides. Pesticides are literally poisons meant to kill things. So it's really scary, and it's really hard. And you see people all the time that they're like, I'm doing everything right, but this is happening with my gut and I'm having this skin thing. And I've been there myself at times. It's really frustrating.
Another big issue, something that it might potentially be the thing that can suppress our immune system the fastest, which is sleep deprivation, right? And again, we have a culture that's just, go, go, go. We've got FOMO. There's so many different things for us to consume, social media,
the screens,
and our screens. There's endless amounts of television to watch. And, and as a result, we're obviously sleeping less as a species. And it is one of the things that, even when we're sleeping, there's even our immune cells, there's some immune cells that are involved in changing our sleep stages, right? So there's certain cytokines. When we hear cytokines, we think it's all bad, but they're actually involved in helping us transition into different stages of sleep. But all of that stuff gets disrupted. And what we see, and the data has affirmed this, so many different studies, yet again, a poor night of sleep is going to create some suppression with our immune system. But there are insulators against that, especially again, you have a new baby, certain things. Nature has some things that help to affirm and support these transitions. Yeah. But when we are choosing, just to chronically sleep deprive ourselves, that's one of the fastest ways to depress our sleep. And I want to ask you about this as well, because one study actually looking at honey compared to, conventional cough syrup found that it can actually help in this, especially in the context of helping to improve sleep quality.
Yeah. When you take honey, it allows for that slow, steady spike in insulin, which allows the tryptophan in honey to cross the blood-brain barrier, and it's converted into serotonin, then melatonin in the dark. So honey's actually really great for relaxation, calming your body down. I know a lot of people are scared of honey because sugar. Yes, there is sugar in honey, no doubt. Our bodies run on sugar, and not all sugars are created equally. And also in moderation. I don't think people should be, I do this sometimes, but you shouldn't be just like spooning and spooning and spooning from the honey jar. But a little bit of honey, it's an ancient healing food. It's actually a really important part of our diet. It doesn't actually spike insulin in the same way as sugar, like 1-to-1 if you had a spoon of sugar versus honey. It does not have the same response. And then the other thing with our bee-powered honey, there's medicinal grade dosages of the royal jelly, the pollen, the propolis in there. So per teaspoon, it's not pure honey. You're getting these other ingredients. There's actually studies looking at both propolis and royal jelly that show that they help to modulate the insulin response. So there's actually, early findings that royal jelly could be really powerful for diabetics. So there's other things happening with honey, and raw honey will have, the superfood honey, we're actually adding a lot of these superfoods into it, putting them back in there. But any raw honey will have trace amounts of these different things. And, polyphenols, flavonoids also help with the insulin response. Honey's really high in those. Same with these other bee products. So I think honey's a really important food, and people shouldn't be scared of it.
Yeah, I love that. And I just had it today. It's my favorite thing. Here's the thing. When I was going to say my favorite sweetener, but then I would be disrespecting honey because it's not just a sweetener. It's so much more than that. Yep. And actually, in talking about the blood sugar impact, there was an analysis in the journal Nutrients that looked at the impact of real honey, raw honey, on fasting blood sugar, and found that it actually improved fasting blood sugar when it's completely deranged with things like high fructose corn syrup, cane sugar, things like that. But it actually improved fasting blood sugar over time, improved lipid metabolism, and reduced the risk for cardiovascular disease. Like, that is not a sweetener. No. That's not the run of the mill. And also, again, the emphasis here is your honey isn't just honey either. It's royal jelly, it's propolis, it's pollen. It's truly a superfood honey. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And there's so many benefits to honey anyways. And again, it's, hundreds of millions of years, the bees have been around and have been perfecting their ability to draw the best of plants, draw the components of plants that allow for their survival. So, in getting these bee products, we're really getting the components of plants that the plants are using to protect themselves, mixed with the components the bees are using to protect themselves. And then we're, ingesting them, and it's really helping us to thrive. And I was telling you before we started recording about how when my daughter was like 2 or 3 months old, my mom came to visit. with COVID, we tested, we did everything right. And lo and behold, day after she arrives, after she's been like holding the baby, we actually spent Mother's Day together, which was really nice. So she was like holding and kissing the baby all up in there with me all day. She tested positive the next day for COVID. My daughter and I did not get COVID. I was like freaking out, breastfeeding, wearing a mask, like, you know, things like I didn't even need to be doing because I was just like, I don't want my baby to be sick. And we didn't get it. And then we had another exposure. Our amazing nanny, who I have since loaded up her and her entire family with bee products. She had an exposure, came down with COVID, of course, didn't know. And again, my daughter, my husband, and I, we've been good. And my husband and I both are like on it with our propolis, on it with our bee products, and I'm breastfeeding. So my little girl is getting the good stuff from my system. So, you know, just a little anecdote there. But I think if you're protecting your body in the right way with these different ancestral foods, these different nutrients, you can do a lot to defend yourself against these different environmental stressors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, this N of one is so important because, you know, part of the reason, again, that I want to have you here and to share this is like, it's so remarkable. And you can hear about this stuff, but until you actually experience it, like my household, it's been a crazy year. All right. And with the stressors and all the stuff going on, my family members, you know, whether, you know, it's my wife or my sons, multiple times, a little sniffle here, a little cold here, a little something, you know. Not me, you know, but I'm the only one who's been consistently utilizing in particular the propolis. Of course, we do other things, but they are involved in a lot of the other things. But this has been a difference maker. And, you know, me eventually, it was 2 years in between, by the way, me having a little, you know, coming down with something. And it was like 2 year gap, like which is amazing. Whereas probably like a dozen, 15 times of people in my household having something.
Yeah.
Of course,
you're
being
meeting
around people
all the time,
all
people
the things.
flying for your show, like you're exposed. Yeah.
So there's something different there. There's a different level of resilience. And also I've noticed too of, you know, sometimes your body will tell you like it's on high alert. Like it's trying to manage something that could go into stronger symptoms. But if we listen to our bodies also and just start to, you know, those are times where we can add in a little bit more support. But a lot of times our bodies are just giving us feedback that we need to, you know, sometimes just slow down.
Totally.
Get some more rest. So just kind of pivoting back into, so obviously our abnormal diet can suppress your immune system. Being sleep deprived can suppress your immune system. Lack of movement. And this is another big part of your culture and your community culture as well. I remember, I don't know if you had just moved here when you did the event and everybody was like doing a big group exercise session.
Yeah, I had just moved here from New York. Yeah.
So what was that all about? Talk about that a little bit.
So we wanted to just bring together our community here. I had just come here and actually during COVID, a couple of my team members also made their way out here. And so we wanted to just do a community event, bringing people together, bringing together some, you know, other cool companies, doing some group fitness and sharing our products and just kind of talking about the different things we can do to create a healthier, more balanced lifestyle. So we had things like cold plunges, you know, we had all the Beekeeper's products and we were making special smoothies with them. And then we had an amazing fitness class. We did some meditation. We ended the day with a sunset sound bath. It was a really, really cool event.
That's awesome. So fitness is would you say fitness is a big part of your lifestyle?
Huge part of my lifestyle.
So what are you doing? People want to know, all right? How old is your daughter now?
She's 5 months.
5 months. Listen, all right? If people are not watching the video version, like you're fit, you know, you're doing something right. What are you doing? So what do you do for your exercise? I'm curious.
Okay. So I actually, after I gave birth, and this was really interesting for me, I hope this is helpful for any female listeners that have this, because I did not know about this before having a baby, but I had prolapse. I had a prolapsed bladder. And apparently I now know, 50% of vaginal deliveries that can happen. And I've totally healed. I'm like 110%. My husband's like, we're ready to have baby number 2. And I'm like, okay, just hold on. Still breastfeeding. But I had that, and I was basically bedridden. I couldn't move. And that was really hard for me mentally. And, so many changes as a new mom. I'm already super sleep deprived, around the clock nursing, and then not being able to get out and exercise. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to bounce back. But I did a lot of PT. Physical therapy is really, really important. Pelvic floor physical therapy. It is healable. It is not the end of the world for women who have prolapse at all. Rest was really important. And then how my body really bounced back, I think it was a combination of propolis and our gut health product. I had a really good protocol just using a lot of propolis. We know there's actually a really cool clinical, it was a meta-analysis. It looked at 14 different trials, and it found that propolis supports the liver's ability to basically flush fat and toxins. So that's really cool. So I take a lot of propolis, and it turns out it's actually kind of great for metabolic syndrome. And then propolis also can help with the insulin response, similar to royal jelly. It can have effects there. And propolis is just really powerful when it comes to combating inflammation. So I think, those 3 things really helped my body to kind of respond. And then our gut health product, it's a pre-pro postbiotic. I'm really obsessed with postbiotics. The short chain fatty acids are absorbed by the colon. I think that's kind of like a missing link in gut health for a lot of people. And I think getting your microbiome functioning in a really efficient way is just key to like weight management, regularity, skin health, everything. So those things really helped me. But now that I'm up and out there, I'm back to hiking. I actually went on a hike yesterday. It's really hard with the baby when you're nursing, though, to like time it effectively. But hiking is my happy place. I love being in nature. I'm doing some Pilates. I used to get 10,000 steps a day before having a kid. And now I'm like, how am I ever going to do that again? but I try to get some movement every day. And for me, I'll lift when I can, but it's really mixing it up. It's the Pilates, the lifting, the hiking, and then movement in nature is just my favorite.
I love that. You said your happy place, and just thinking about the best form of exercise is the exercise that you'll actually do, what makes you happy. Unfortunately, we put exercise into this category of like, it's just running, or, it's just lifting weights, or whatever the case might be. And for some people, it's subconscious, but every form of movement, really, whether it's dancing, and of course, let's be clear, I'm not saying you're going to get this equal benefit, but just moving our bodies is so critical. Dancing, roller skating, hula hooping. There's a whole hula hoop gang out there. All right, jump rope, whatever the case might be. For you, hiking, and giving yourself permission to do more of that. Now, I'm so glad that you brought this up, because this is another important subject matter. And you shared this. This was something that you didn't know about prior to you giving birth. There's a lot of taboo subjects around this stuff culturally. And that's a big part of this mission, with this platform, is to be able to provide this information, to give people, sound knowledge, science-backed solutions, but to talk about these things, because in our culture, there's this phenomenon called the snapback, right? And so women are expected to have this certain thing happen, which is wildly unfair and
not necessarily good for us, especially if you're breastfeeding. You need additional calories. For a lot of women, hormonally, they're holding on to the weight as they're breastfeeding. The whole snapback culture is so toxic, and unfair to women.
Yeah. And also, again, it's having this idealistic way of things are supposed to go a certain way. You experienced prolapse. Yeah. And, some women, it's it's an issue with the abdominal wall, or it can be
diastasis. Yeah.
It could be, gestational diabetes. It could be a number of different things that uniquely you are experiencing, but because it didn't meet the plan of how things are supposed to be, we tend to, that can add into that postpartum depression and whatnot. And I want to help to create a place for people to choose freedom and to just enjoy your unique experience and to cater, make adjustments for you is like, let me lean more into this nutrition, right? Let me focus on my gut health and, doing what you can do with what you are dealing with. And also to say, hey, this was hard for me. This thing over here was a very challenging place. And hopefully we have people that we can communicate with and share this with, so we're not bearing this load by ourselves.
Yeah. I actually just want to say about the prolapse thing for any listeners that are struggling with this. If you type in prolapse, the internet is a very bad place for prolapse. It's like your vagina is falling out of your body. Like it's so extreme. It's pretty bleak. It doesn't talk a lot about recovery. It doesn't talk a lot about the prevalence of this. It's so common. A huge population of women have prolapse and don't even know it. They're asymptomatic. There's so many muscles in the pelvic floor. So, for anyone who does have that, it's super common. It can absolutely be healed, reversed. Like I've completely recovered from it. The other thing with prolapse is when you're breastfeeding, there's still a lot of relaxin in your body. So joints, ligaments, there's a lot more laxity. So sometimes it's for women when they stop breastfeeding and things really normalize that the prolapse goes away. But it is a very common part of giving birth, and it is certainly not a death sentence. And the initial stuff I read when I realized that I had prolapse, I was like bawling my eyes out and freaking out and thinking, my life is over and I'm never going to return to activity. And what am I going to do? I want to keep expanding my family. And it was an unnecessary stress in the end because it's all totally fine. And I really believe most things, if you're supporting your body in the right way, you can recover.
Yeah. Our bodies know what to do.
They do.
But again, right now we're dealing with, it's not even a lack of information per se, but an overabundance of disempowering information.
Yeah.
Right.
Misinformation and the wrong motives. It's really hard to know what to do. There's a billion supplements and really good marketing, and it's tough.
Yeah. There's a lot. And that's, again, it's like, it's a paradox. We have access to more information, but in some ways we're a lot dumber than we've ever been. We have access to so much more nutritious food, but yet many of us, the vast majority of people, especially in the United States, are eating the fakest, newly invented, it's not even really food, So we have this really interesting paradox, but I believe, that optimist in me is that, we will get to a place where the majority of us are caring for ourselves, because what's happening right now, we're passing this on to our children.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the leverage point. And I know that just working as a clinician, working with people, when people would come in and they're wanting to, whether it was like to lose 50 pounds, to, reverse their prediabetes, whatever their health issue was, if they had children, 9 times out of 10, when I asked them, when I was digging around to find out, why do you want to do this? It had to do with their kids.
Yeah.
And passing on, modeling better behavior for their kids. And so right now we have an epidemic of childhood diabetes, an epidemic of childhood obesity, autoimmune conditions. It is ridiculous what's happening, mental health issues. And the truth is, we have not only the ability to prevent the vast majority of the stuff in the first place, but we have real science-backed solutions. But if you don't know, you don't know. And you're just going to get put into this system, which I'm one of the people that come from that. I had all the inhalers, I had asthma, I was hospitalized. It was actually some of the best times of my life being at Children's Hospital in St. Louis, because they had a video game system that was, they had the newer one. I didn't have it at my house. And, I liked the hospital food, because it was just basically fast food.
Yeah.
Right. And, being able to understand that, this was a condition that I didn't have to have in the first place. And I haven't talked about this very much, but like my mom smoked like in the house every day, all day. Do you think maybe that might trigger some asthmatic symptoms? Yeah. We ate mainly ultra processed food.
Yeah.
Like there's some things that are so obviously indicative of poor health, but a lot of this stuff though we're unaware of.
Totally.
And so I want to ask you about this. So we talked about diet in relationship to our immune system, sleep. We talked about exercise and the importance of exercise and movement to support our immune health and our overall health. But what about stress?
Yeah, stress is a killer. I mean, I believe that the root of a lot of issues we're having today is inflammation. And again, it's that inflammatory lifestyle. It's not working out can cause inflammation, but then overworking out also causes oxidative stress. And so you have to combat that. And, that's a problem too. Travel, flying, the pesticides, the heavy metals in our water. There's so many things. So not to stress everyone out by just listing all the things wrong with the planet right now, but there are things you can do to combat all of those stressors. And so it's really, understanding that we live in this environment. Even those of us that put a lot of energy and attention in this area, we're still exposed to a viral load that our body isn't equipped to handle. So what can we do? And, emotionally, the level of stress, what we've normalized in our culture, totally unhealthy. So it's what can we do to create more peace, create more equilibrium in the body? For me, incorporating bee products to create that barrier, to use that to combat a lot of the oxidative stress. A lot of the studies looking at bee products, both royal jelly and propolis, there's a lot of studies focused on their ability to combat oxidative stress in the body and the different compounds. Propolis has over 300 beneficial compounds. There's a lot of different incredible things in propolis, really high in flavonoids. It's really high in polyphenols, which are basically responsible for protecting plants as they get exposed to stressors. So that's what polyphenols do for plants. They help them to basically weather the storm as they're exposed to all these different stressors. Polyphenols are really high in propolis, and then propolis is really high in coumarins, which is a type of polyphenol that's found in the roots and stems of in the leaves and stems of plants. And that helps to really combat inflammation, has antiviral capabilities, flavonoids as well. So incorporating these different foods and products that help our body to create that barrier against stress, that have the polyphenols, the flavonoids, the coumarins, these kinds of ingredients, that's a really great way to protect yourself from just all the stressors coming at us from all the angles.
Yeah. Thank you for that, because you're talking about the overall stress load that we're experiencing and just making ourselves more resilient. But a study that was published in Archives of Virology looked specifically at polyphenols that are well documented. They notably said this to reduce inflammation and fight disease. And there are over 300 compounds in propolis, the majority of these being these polyphenols and antioxidants and different forms of antioxidants. Here's what they found. These polyphenols were found to inhibit the activity of coronavirus, according to this data, again, published in the peer-reviewed journal, Archives of Virology. All right. So there's something about it. It has a resonance with human beings. A lot of these different compounds from propolis, from royal jelly. But let's stay on the propolis train, because there's something special. And you just brought me some of the new stuff. All right, let's talk about this upgrade with the propolis.
Our new extract, I'm really excited about this. So the commitment at Beekeeper's Naturals is to keep up leveling. And I know a lot of companies say that, and I don't want to sound, I feel like sometimes when I talk about my products and my company, I'm like so hyper optimistic that I feel like I sound phony. And I hope it doesn't come off that way, because it really is genuine. This is what I've dedicated my life for. And I'm really excited, or dedicated my life to. I'm really excited about how awesome my team is at staying true to that commitment to bring people the best bee products in the world. So because of that, we're always looking at new sources. We're looking for new apiaries. As the company grows, we have to find new apiaries, and we're really picky because we can only work with regenerative beekeepers in pesticide-free geographies. So it has to be in a geography like Europe with different pesticide regulation, or a super rural area. So we have a lot of crazy parameters. So anyways, in our search to continue finding new beekeepers and apiaries to work with, we came across this propolis extract. It was, and I've seen all over the world propolis extracts. It is the highest in flavonoids and polyphenols I have ever seen in my life. Not only that, we went about testing this, and there are 6 bioactives that we're actually using and measuring for every single batch of product now. So we're guaranteeing that our product has these 6 bioactives in every single spray bottle. And all of our products that use propolis have this. I just had the spray bottle because that's our propolis spray that I'm thinking of. But these 6 bioactives play a really amazing role in our health. It's cysteine, which there's been studies looking at cysteine for cancer prevention. It actually supports apoptosis. So that's getting rid of the bad cells in the body. It has immunomodulatory effects, so great at helping. The same way adaptogens will work with your stressors, it works with your immune system to kind of regulate it and balance it. So that's, and I can go off about all 6 of these compounds, but I'll try to keep it short. So that's one of them. Another one is pinosembrin. Pinosembrin is, it has actually a lot of studies looking at brain health. It helps to protect the brain, insulate the body. It helps to protect from neuronal damage. So, helping to just insulate us again from those kinds of stressors in our environment. And then it's also antifungal. And there's some really cool studies about that one for candida. It's antibacterial, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, all the good stuff. There's quercetin in there, which people are probably more familiar with because that one's just become really hot when it comes to antioxidant health and immune support. There's apigenin, which also has cancer prevention studies, which is really interesting. Lots of studies on how it supports overall immune health, the antioxidant content. Pinobaskin is one of them that we're measuring as well, which is really high in antioxidants, also the antimicrobial effects. And then galangin is another one. And then again, really high in antioxidants, antimicrobial effects. So basically we have the ability with our propolis now to continuously ensure that we're measuring these different things and show people this is why we're the best. It's not just that we're pesticide free. And so the whole thing with beekeepers is we certainly didn't invent bee products. Bee products, it's this, again, ancestral wisdom of the hive. But taking that ancestral wisdom, these products that are, so deeply integrated into our planet, into our plants, into our ecosystem, and then pulling on modern science, pulling on new innovations and finding different ways to harness these powers and bring them to people. So I'm really excited about our new propolis extract. It pretty much tastes the same. Maybe it's got a little bit more of a spice to it. It's almost got a cinnamony after experience, but most people think it tastes exactly the same as our previous propolis extract, but it's really, really cool. And then the other thing that we're doing that I'm excited about is we're getting propolis to get this extract with all of these flavonoids and polyphenols. We're sourcing propolis from Brazil, Chile, Peru, Poland, Italy, France, parts of Asia. And so what we're doing with that is we're getting the plant properties from all these different geographies around the world, bringing them together and creating this super propolis. And so it's very, I'm nerding out here, but it's very, very exciting for me to be able to measure these bioactives and bring this propolis from all different parts of the globe that we know is this powerful to people.
That's amazing. Really, that's mind blowing. And this is, when I'm listening to this, is all the problems that we're facing, we can't have a problem without a solution.
Yeah.
And nature tends to consolidate solutions in certain things, and bee products are one of those things, clearly. Mm-hmm. And even with Robitussin, trying to, shout out honey's benefits, but the reality is, we're all world citizens now, right? And so being able to, what's happening in one part of the earth can literally be impacting us tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And having some global immune support and also our local immune support, and starting to think like that as well. And what can we do to make ourselves more resilient in this rapidly changing ecosystem? Right. And also I love a big part of this mission is helping to protect the bees, mm-hmm. And making sure, because there are certain things that bees do that nothing else in the universe can do, yeah. So can you talk a little bit about the current state of things with our bees, mm-hmm. why bees are so important?
Yeah, so bees are critically important for our ecosystem. They pollinate 1/3 of our food supply. So apples, blueberries, they're partial pollinators for coffee, even, if you don't care about fruits and vegetables, clover, which cattle graze on, these grasses need bees for pollination. So bees are critical to allow things to grow and thrive. And they have been under threat for a number of years now. There's a lot of different theories about this, but the main culprit, in my opinion, is pesticides. And there's a lot of pushback from the companies that make the pesticides, trying to say, oh no, it's this. Oh no, it's this. The pesticides are fine. But it's not. There's a class of pesticides called neonicotinoids. It's a neuroactive substance. A lot of Europe has banned a lot of the pesticides we use here. You'll notice when I mentioned the places we're sourcing our bee products from, I didn't say the US. And it's a bummer because I live here. And for a lot of different reasons, I'd love to be able to source things locally. But the pesticide landscape is really bad here. It's really tough. And with bee products, it's different than other things because the bees will move. Just because the hive is on certified organic land, the bees will forage. They'll fly for, a 5-mile radius. So even if the hive is on certified organic land and it's quote unquote organic honey, which I don't believe in for this reason, if the bees fly next door or, 5 miles down the road and get exposed to pesticides and bring it back to the hive, no one's measuring that. So we do third-party pesticide testing on all of our products, and we do that to ensure product quality and, ensure that people aren't getting exposure to pesticides when they're taking the things that should be helping to detox them. But we also do that to make sure we're creating clean environments for our bees. Whether we're working in rural parts of Asia or Brazil, we're doing the pesticide testing to make sure that our bees are getting exposed to clean plants and flowers and food that's not covered in these pesticides that are killing them. So when I talk about regenerative beekeeping, there's a bunch of different things that we do. But a big thing is reducing the pesticide exposure, eliminating the pesticide exposure to every extent possible so that our bees are not exposed to the toxins that are killing them. And, obviously I need bees for my company, but much more than me or my company, we need bees for this world. It would be a food desert. So, the pesticide situation, I hope that changes. We'll see. It's not, the biggest topic. It's not as big of a topic as it should be right now in North America. There's been some movement in Canada. There was a partial ban instituted in a couple of provinces, but the pesticide issue is a huge one. And just our agricultural practices are really affecting all creatures.
Yeah. I think we can just look at our lives, people that have been on the planet for a couple of decades and just notice you don't see bees as often. Right, you notice you don't see lightning bugs as often. There's all these different species, different creatures, different animals that have gone extinct.
Yeah.
Just in the time that we've been here, let alone the past a century or two. And we have to protect the bees. They're so remarkable. So to reiterate this point, if we're looking to increase our resilience, and in particular, it's back to school time for everybody. We don't got time for this. We don't got time to get sick. Focus on obviously eating a largely real food diet because also kids are going to be at school. They're going to have the different little food exposures and whatnot. And it is what it is, and kids are going to have fun. They're going to pass candy around. When at home, let's really just shower our kids in good nutrition, making sure that we're minding our sleep quality and our kids' sleep quality. There's certain demographics. Again, I had a shifty way of staying up late. I had a younger brother and sister. My brother's 5 years younger. My sister's 7 years younger. And if we have to go to bed together. But if I could stay up while they fall asleep, then I can get up and hang out longer. As a little thing that we had. But I needed to keep my ass asleep, and so just doing our best to make sure that our kids are getting a good quality sleep, a good quality amount of sleep, making sure that our kids are active and minding stress for all of us. And so with that being said, this is our opportunity to level things up and support preventive care, utilizing the very best bee products in the world. And also, if you should come into a situation where you are dealing with something And we've got proof right here. You know, my videographer is sitting right here. The sinus spray is like, it is unbelievably effective.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We get, what you're going to get picked up on the mics. What do you think about the sinus spray?
I've had sinus problems for a long time. I put a lot of stuff in my nose, and that stuff's amazing. I give it to everyone that I meet that has sinus problems now.
I'm so happy. Do you like our plus or our regular?
The plus.
Okay. Good to know. I'll hook you up with some more. But yeah, I know the sinus spray I really love. I have sinusitis myself, and I use the regular day to day. And then if I'm traveling or like a lot of recycled air situations, I'll bring the plus out. But yeah, the nasal microbiome is really important. Propolis has prebiotic effects. Propolis is really great at, it's the inflammation stuff. So it reduces the inflammation. And, you know, talking about things we should cut out, we were talking about the Robitussin, but Flonase, oh my gosh.
Oh man, that's so addictive.
Habit forming.
Yeah.
It affects our brain health. That's why the nasal spray was a really important product I felt that we needed to come out with, because we wanted something that was non-habit forming, that was natural, but worked just as well as the synthetic steroid bad stuff. And so I'm really happy to hear that you like our nasal spray. And it's a great tool to protect the body, again, from all of these different stressors, pathogens, viruses, all these different exposures that we're having.
I don't know how you do it. Like, you're addressing those, you're basically upgrading the things that we culturally accept as like, these are the solutions. Mm-hmm. So the sinus spray, I remember in high school, you know, dealing with asthma and allergies, and I got this sinus spray and it worked. And I just kept using it because I just didn't get better, right? I just didn't get better. And next thing you know, even when I was good, I was using it, right? And little did I know that I was now addicted to the sinus spray in high school, all right? And fortunately, we were broke, so I could keep buying it. But, you know, I didn't even realize this until after I went to college. Like, what? Wait a minute. There was a time period where I was using this sinus spray like every day. And I just,
you don't think it's bad. It's like, you don't know.
It's kind of like, you know, when the kids in smelling markers and things like that, and glue and these things that are just in your environment. And like, this inhalation capacity to create an effect and altered biology for us, and altered, you know, even altering our brain, is really powerful, you know? And like, I grew up in the age of like scented markers, and like our teacher giving us scented scratch and sniff stickers, you know, if you do good on your paper. But we're just like inhaling all of these things. There's all these different, you know, hormone altering, you know, chemistry that's in these things. And we can end up getting addicted to it, because I can still smell that watermelon marker. Like, if I could, I might take a look. You know what I mean? Just right now, you know what I mean? It's just, there's certain things that are so unusual for our chemistry that our bodies just create this resonance towards, and that is completely manufactured to have that addictive fragrance. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. There's fragrances, there's food dyes, there's so many things in things. But to your point, that's our whole mission with Beekeepers Naturals. I grew up exposed to a lot of toxins. I had a lot of health issues, and I started beekeeping, and I resolved a lot of my health issues. And then I went into finance, and I was working as a biotech trader. So I had to do real deep dives on the pharmaceutical companies, basically doing pharmaceutical research. And that's when I was like, okay, let's get out of this. Let's put these things all together. There's a huge problem with medicine, with supplements, with the state of health. And so our mission at Beekeepers is to take all the stuff that people are using, that people think they need, and replace it with things that are going to address those symptoms, but in a holistic sense, help to calm the body, nourish the body, reduce the inflammation, protect the body. That's our goal. And it's so simple. It's these, you know, again, the big four from the hive, but there's so much you can do with these different bee products. And again, the science coming out, everything from, I'm really excited about all the science coming out around tumors, cancer prevention, but also immune health, inflammation. All of these different things are being looked at. Fertility is a really exciting one that's being studied in a big way right now with royal jelly. So there's things that we can do drawing on the ancient wisdom of plants, of bees, of creatures and organisms that survived things and were here before us, and integrating them into our system to help us protect against all these new things that we have.
Yeah, we gotta do better. You know, you just mentioned the fertility piece, and a big analysis was published in the Scientific American, and the researchers uncovered that fertility has been going down about 1% per year for about the last 50 plus years. And this was also a 1% decrease in sperm count, 1% decrease in testosterone annually, 1% increase in miscarriages. And just looking at all these different factors of humans being born, having capacity to grow new people, has been dramatically decreasing in our population. And again, I truly believe we cannot have a problem without a solution. You know, it's really two sides of the same coin. But we've got to take control of our health. We've got to invest in the things that we, first of all, just the stuff that we know. Yeah. A lot of times we're not doing the stuff that we already know to do. And we have our stories on why we don't do them. You know, we want to eat healthy, but it's this, or I want to exercise, but it's that. Going back to one of the most, you said so many remarkable things, but just doing the exercise that you love.
Yeah.
Right?
What makes you happy?
Giving yourself permission to do something that you love to do each week, you know, at least a couple of times a week. Give yourself a joy input and move your body in a way that makes you feel good. And you know, obviously we live in a very stressful world. It's a different kind of stress than our ancestors, you know, but we've got to increase our resilience, and we've got to take time to de-stress and unload and communicate and talk to our friends and have trust in people, good people that, you know, can help us to move and navigate through all this stuff.
Joy and connection is just as important of a part of a wellness routine. And it's not even a wellness routine, just a life, as exercise or eating healthy is, and making sure that you're making time for that. And if you're not, really reevaluating everything and taking stock of what you need and where you can find joy and where you can create that connection.
Yeah. So ask yourself, who's in my hive?
Yeah.
Who's in your hive? And, you know, I'm so grateful for you. And also you bring me cool stuff, and you guys send me cool stuff before everybody else, which is awesome. But, you know, as of this recording, again, leaning into things that families are used to, kids are used to. You've got a brand new lolly.
Yeah, the
for
lollipops.
Kids,
yeah.
Watermelon, and it is fantastic.
It's really yummy. Now, becoming a mom, I am obsessed with kids products and what's going in kids products. And we're really focused on creating products for the whole family and empower, you know, getting propolis in kids. I think it's really, really important to, again, give the kids tools from an early age to defend their system, to bolster their system against these different environmental stressors. So those lollipops have propolis in them, of course, and they're for kids, but I have them all the time. I had to like take mine out so we could start recording.
True story.
Yeah. And we do a really great cough syrup for kids. It's just, again, it's that honey base. We've got elderberry, vitamin D, vitamin C, you know, simple, natural ingredients, but making sure that we have tools for the whole family. But I want to go back to the fertility thing for a sec, because we hear this from customers all the time. I have friends that have been on really tricky fertility journeys. My husband and I, before we started trying to get pregnant, he's a biker and he had really low motility. And so we started, both of us, doing royal jelly every day. And we ended up getting pregnant like immediately. I didn't know I was pregnant. And so that was an amazing gift. But there's some really cool information on royal jelly. You mentioned testosterone. There was actually a study giving males 1,000 milligrams of royal jelly, and it actually improved and increased their testosterone levels. There are studies looking at sperm and how royal jelly consumption affects it, and across all parameters, DNA, maturity, viability, royal jelly increased the quality of sperm. And then looking at females too, there was a really interesting study it was looking with immature female rats, and it found that royal jelly actually helped to stimulate the ovarian follicles, which is a critical part for getting pregnant. And we know royal jelly has really positive effects when it comes to menopause too, and women are going through menopause earlier and having harsher symptoms. So royal jelly has an amazing ability to balance and support hormones, support fertility for men and women. And something kind of cool in the hive, I don't know if people realize, like, royal jelly is basically colostrum for bees. It's the breast milk of the hive. So it's literally a secretion from the nurse bees, the same way I'm producing milk right now. The bees are producing the royal jelly, and newborn baby bees are given royal jelly for the first 3 to 5 days of life. And then they transition onto a more regular diet of honey and pollen. And the bee who's to become the queen bee, all she eats is royal jelly. She continues that exclusive royal jelly diet. And it's interesting to see the biological differences in the hive, because the queen bee will live 3 to 5 years versus 6 to 8 weeks. So huge longevity benefits with royal jelly. And then the queen bee is having 1,000 babies a day. She's a baby having machine versus regular worker bees who don't have reproductive organs. So in the hive, the royal jelly is creating like a supercharged baby making, strong longevity, long living super bee basically. And royal jelly has these incredible health applications for us when it comes to fertility. We're learning more and more. There's a ton of research about how royal jelly affects brain health, looking at things like ADD, ADHD, concussion management, royal jelly for neurodegenerative diseases, things like Alzheimer's, dementia. There's really fascinating studies looking at how royal jelly affects the brain. So there's a lot we can be doing here to support our bodies in all of these different regards.
Amazing. So you've got, obviously, royal jelly is in several products, but it's really highlighted in the brain fuel product as well, which is one of my favorite things, the nootropic. And by the way, all of these things exclusively with the Model Health Show, you can get for 20% off when you go to beekeepersnaturals.com/model. You get 20% off store-wide. The discount is crazy. Like 20% is bananas. All right. So that's BEEKEEPERS naturals.com/model for 20% off. And also, you guys are just, again, like with this, the spreading of bees and the regenerated practices, you guys are spreading like crazy and showing up in a lot of different stores across the country right now, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We're expanding our liposomal offering with Whole Foods, which is really cool. Do you like liposomal stuff, by the way?
Of course, the delivery system is amazing.
It's really cool. And I feel like capsules, there's some issues with that in certain respects. Some capsules are great, but liposomal is really cool. So we are the first people to make a liposomal propolis. We came out with a liposomal propolis in vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C plus the propolis. And so for anyone who doesn't know, how liposomal works is it's basically encapsulating nutrients in phospholipids. So it's mimicking the cell membrane. So when you take this, it's able to be like a Trojan horse in your body. It's like it looks to your body like a cell membrane, so it doesn't get eroded with the stomach acid, and it actually goes right to the part of the body where it's needed. So it's a really efficient way. I see all these people taking IVs. Liposomal is kind of a really efficient way to absorb your nutrients, actually get what you're paying for and get your money's worth. And our liposomal propolis and vitamin C is a really cool one. I love that one. I mean, that one's obviously incredible for immune health, but just to be vain for a minute, I actually love that one for what it does for skin health, because people are always taking collagen, but you need vitamin C for the body. Vitamin C is the precursor really to get what you need from the collagen. So vitamin C will help your body to produce collagen to support the tissues to get that glow. And then propolis, which is so high in the antioxidants, polyphenols, has the anti-inflammatory effects, all the immune stuff, but the antioxidants, polyphenols, all of that will help with the glow factor too. So this combo is a really great way for to support tissue regeneration. Also for people who are exercising a lot, vitamin C plays a huge role in recovery, and then propolis defends the body against that post-oxidative stress. There's actually been a study looking at competitive cyclists, and people at that level are exercising so much that it is a lot of strain on their body. And propolis help to defend their body against the post-oxidative stress created from that level of work. So it's a really cool tool, but liposomal is something that is just really neat. And so I'm excited about expanding that line and sharing that with people.
What really connects me with you and with Beekeepers is like many of the things that you've done are the way that I would do them, and that's just kind of the resonance that happened initially when I first found out about you. And, it really made me happy, because I don't have to venture down that path to try to provide these things for people. And I can trust that you're going to do things the right way, and you really do go above and beyond, and, just an awesome person overall. And if you could, can you let people know where to connect with you more, just to learn more about what's going on in your world, to stay up to date with things?
Yeah. So check us out, beekeepersnaturals.com. We're on Instagram at beekeepers_naturals, TikTok, Beekeepers Naturals. If you want to learn about products, bees, any of that, our products are available at Target, Walmart, Whole Foods, Sprouts, certain CVS locations. I'm really into shopping at Target and Walmart since we launched with those two places. I've fallen in love with those two stores. But anyway, and if you want to find me, it's Carly.Kremer. That's my Instagram. I'm on TikTok at Carly the Beekeeper. And I'm always happy to share, my experience with these products, what we're doing. Something that we're sharing a lot too, which is really cool, our medical advisory board, we work with a team of doctors to formulate all of our products. I like to tell people our products are formulated by parents and doctors. And I think that's really important. Yeah. And we work with naturopaths, we work with functional medicine doctors, traditional MDs, pediatricians. And so we're really making sure that, to your point, we are getting it right. I really want to get this right. For my daughter's generation, for other parents like me, it's so hard and we're just exposed to so much. And if we can do this right and simplify this and give people tools to protect themselves, support their bodies, achieve their health goals, that's what we want to do.
Awesome. That's why we connect. I appreciate you so much for coming to hang out with us. Hey, if you like this video, make sure to check out this video right here.
So just to specify, vegetable oil is not coming from peas and carrots. It's coming from seeds, actually. So some people call it seed oil. And there's 8 of them that I recommend everyone just get out of their diet.